I am absolutely livid. I am so pissed off and disappointed in the system. Caveat, if you're easily offended, please just keep on scrolling. Uh, Two veterans this week who had horrible CMP exams, two female veterans who are MST survivors, rated for conditions, who had the most horrible of CMPs that you can think of. And there's always a course of action and a way to push back, but someone has to say stuff, and they're taking steps. But I just want to tell the story real quickly of what happened this week, because if it happens to you and you don't know what to do, you're going to be screwed. And again, I understand this is not everyone. So for folks out there on the whole it worked for you thing, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who got effed over and shit didn't go the way it was supposed to go. In two cases, you have one veteran who held a rating for 20 years at a very low rating for mental health, and didn't know what they didn't know, got a rating out of service and filed as soon as they left. And 20 years later, they're going for an increase to finally be rated properly. Her truth, her reality, she had her MST in service and went through the things she went through. Finally gets to a point of waiting how many, months, almost over a year and change for a CMP. Gets to the CMP and literally begins to have a reaction because she's opening Pandora's box. The examiner says, I cannot examine you in the condition you are in. She says, I want to do this, but it's difficult to speak about this. For crying out loud, it's been effing 20 years for, to get to this point. And almost over a year and change to have the CMP. And you're going to tell me we can't do the exam? Look, I thought you were trained to deal with stuff. I'm not spazzing out, throwing things against the wall, hurling feces. I'm freaking here trying to tell you what I've been dealing with in the last 20 years since I got out. The doc gets up, says, I can't do in this condition you're in, exit stage left, leaves her there crying. She has to do the walk of shame out of the damn place. And says, basically, we'll tell the VA that we couldn't, continue the exam or do it at no fault of your own. Think about this for a second. For a veteran, man or woman, you will have experienced something, in this situation, an MST, a complex PTSD situation, and you're met with that. All it took you to do is, the VA says all day, we're doing things, we're training people, and all the stuff that goes with that, right? Come forward, we're taking care, we're doing training, and this is what happens? But then most veterans just walk away and just say, you know what, this is why they didn't want to do this in the first place. Negative, Ghost Rider. Reaches out, and I'm like, bullshit. Complained to the daggone third-party provider. Because these subcontractors, look, I don't know where you went to school, but you should find another way to do a living. But we have to hold these people accountable. A memo to the VA as to what happened that same daggone day. Because as a veteran, you have the right to have a CMP done where you're examined and not interrogated, not being made to feel like you're a liar. Second situation just happened, just got off the phone. Veteran, same situation, is filing for an increase. In this case, the veteran is making a point that I'm going to expand to in another video as to why she's going for the increase, and gets met with someone saying that what you're dealing with is not so. I'll just give you one example. One of the criteria, the 100%, is you have the inability to perform daily activities of living for intermittent periods to include minimal personal hygiene. This person has gone through things that makes them feel physically unclean, and they have to do things to cleanse themselves over and over again in ways that for many people are going to sound crazy. But that's what has to happen because you don't know what's going on in here, right? So this veteran has those periods. You would probably call that being germophobic. It's not the germs. It's not the germs. But there are periods where she can't even do that, and just hygiene goes out the window and can't even do that. The doctor says, impossible, that cannot be the case. Simple dumb bitch. What part of daggone inability to do things for a period of time doesn't make sense? For a period of time, you cannot do certain things. That doesn't mean, what do you mean? Where did you go to school? By definition, when you have periods of inability to do things like personal hygiene or daily activities of function, it's a daggone thing on the CFR, 100% little symptom there. And she's telling you why she's doing it, and you're saying no, and you're belittling them and saying that that can't be true. I thought I came here to be examined, not to be judged, not to be criticized and made to feel a certain way. So when veterans in the VA say, oh, we're here trying to tell you to come forward, this is why you don't come forward, because those two ladies will tell their friends what happened and they won't file a claim. Moral story, they both are taking the steps to push back on a bad CMP, but this is the BS that's happening. And if it's happened to you, you don't take it laying down. You request another exam. You complain to the daggone, VES, QTC, whoever the hell shows up today, and you let the VA know via memo that you basically want to get examined again, or if this is what they actually want. Because there's a special section of the VA that handles these things for MST survivors and veterans. So you in turn have this type of person who's supposedly trained to deal with someone in that situation. Like, I get what people might have a thing about ratings, and people are actually making a point to step forward and get help and tell the VA what's really going on, and this is the reception they get. And no one tells them what to do because Google didn't fucking tell you to push back. So the point is, you push back, you complain, you don't take that crap laying down, you push it back to them and make them do it right. Fire that damn person and get the right people to do these exams. But if we don't speak up and do these things, guess what? I'll be back and tell you what actually happened with the other situation in more detail, because this is the whole thing that has to be unpacked. Because again, I hear it all the time. It's in my DMs. You know who I'm talking to, but it has to be said. So tell a vet, share it across, because at the end of the day, these things have to be said. If you had a bad CMP, don't settle for it. They're there to examine you, not to judge you or to make you feel like you're anything but a veteran trying to get compensated, no matter what any other veteran says. Again, you deal with your reality. F what somebody else says. I don't care where you serve. I don't care what you did. My reality is my reality, and the VA's job is to assess it. The end. I'll be back. Not too many curse words. And I did not go too crazy, but man, it might trigger my damn self. I'll be back with the next part.